Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to this morning's call. This is our Lead, Laugh, Love podcast, inspiring leaders to lead, laugh, and love every step of the way. For those of you that don't know me and looking at the group, I think everybody does know me. My name is Sinead Pollock. I'm very, very excited to invite to the call this morning our good friend from Boston, Gold Presidential Luciano Fidalgo. Luciano has been a dedicated leader with Mannatech for over 20 years, a two-time recipient of the illustrious Business Builder of the Year award. He has expanded his business into more than 20 countries. Like I said, a great friend to Australia. He toured with us down way back in 2015, I figured it out, it was Luciano, sharing his leadership, his passion, his wisdom, and his humor. And we do say what happens on tour stays on tour. And he has left such a positive, empowering impact on so many people. So good morning, Luciano. Welcome to the call. Great to have you.
Good morning, Sinead. It's an honor being here. Excited to be here. Good morning, everybody.
So I like to start at the beginning. My associates know this too. Simple question, Luciano. For you, why Mannatech?
Well, that's a good question. Actually, I have to take you back to 2003 because before I was in Mannatech, I was in another business. I actually started in the industry in 1987. I was 5 years old, if you're doing the math.
I was going to say 12, but we'll go with 5.
I had just graduated from the university. And I knew I didn't want to have a traditional job like everybody else. So got involved in the industry. 22 years old, got excited. Well, I wasn't excited about speaking in public, and neither was I excited about selling anything. But I had a good upline. I had a good leadership in my organization. I know you guys know who Al Bala is. I actually was in his organization when I first got started in 1987, and I was building the business, and then I also became part of the executive group in the company that I was with. I mean, this group is huge. They used to do $700 million in sales by the time I left. You know, so they were huge. And this was not a company. I'm talking about the group. You know. And so I started doing some of the international work for them. So I was traveling to a lot of countries in Africa, Europe, South America. And I used to probably average around 150 to 200,000 miles a year flying. And obviously my health didn't like that too much. And so I was getting all kind of, things, especially my body clock was all over the place, And then I was in Europe. I was doing a meeting, and man, I didn't feel good at all. And then I came home, and I decided, even though I was taking some really good nutritional products, but something was missing. So I started searching online. And I got to somebody's page, and it was talking about these things called glyconutrients. Now, mind you, I had been in the industry probably more than 10 years. I'd never heard of glyconutrients or the company name Mannatech. I was like, this is very interesting. So I started reading and reading and reading and reading. The more I read, the more excited I got. I put my name in his capture page. Less than 1 minute later, he called me.
Wow.
Now, guys, there's a tip there. Less than 1 minute later, this guy whose capture page it was called me. He said, to give you the short version, he says, hey, I just wanted to answer your questions. I know you have some questions. So that's how I actually saw Mannatech. By finding somebody's page, putting my name in his capture page, he called me and said, hey, how can I help you? Told him what I was looking for. He says, we have some great products that might be able to help you. Took the products, and I'm telling you, the first week I couldn't believe the change that I was seeing personally. And that's 23 almost years ago, and here we still are, fired up and excited. That's how I actually started in Mannatech.
I love that because I think sometimes we forget somebody out there is looking for what we have. And you're the classic example. You were looking for something. You didn't know what you were looking for, but you were looking for something. And I think even more so in the world that we live in, somebody out there is looking for something that we have. And it is about putting yourself out there.
Absolutely.
It's interesting because obviously you started when you were 5 and that amazing skin, you're obviously using Lead Innovation and a lot of Ambertos.
Thank
Um,
you.
so I think from when you talk about when you started and you were saying somebody had a capture page, there's people going, what's a capture page? Change is a big thing. And when you've been in an industry as long as you have, I think things change, whether it's the world around us, whether it's, us in the corporate office receiving, new signups on fax paper and trying to decipher people's writing. When you think about it and you witness changes as a leader, because the changes happen both within the company and the world around us. As a leader, how do you handle that? What do you say are key to embracing it, managing, adapting?
Well, that's an awesome question. And let me tell you something. I heard a long time ago that the only constant thing is change.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
and I can say to you that yes, from 1987 to 2023 has changed totally. I remember when first of all, what we're doing right now, we couldn't have done this in 1987 or in 1997. We couldn't have done this. I'm here in the U.S., you're in Australia, and people are in New Zealand, and here we are conducting business and we're doing it live.
Mhm.
That's a huge change. When I got started, if I was in Boston and I met somebody in New Jersey, I had to go get a manila envelope, stuff the brochures, stuff the cassettes, stuff the 8-track tape, snail mail it, wait about 3 or 4 days, call them and see if they got it, and then call them back and tell them, hey, watch this, read that. All that stuff changed. From my phone, I can send you a link and say, hey, Sinead, watch this, and I'm gonna call you back in 10 minutes. And you can watch the presentation, you can look at the products, you can see the videos, and I can see in my system, I can see how long you watched it and what the percentage was, and I know exactly how to follow up with you.
Yeah.
So that, and to me, change means, in our business is always progress.
Mhm.
Now the problem is when you're having changes and you in your mindset, you don't want to change because you've done it all these years this way and this is the way your grandmother did it. I'm going to tell you a story. So this guy went to go have dinner over this downline's house, right? And it was Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving in the U.S. is huge.
Yep.
And this lady made a turkey, and she also made a ham. I mean, I don't know what you probably know the big pieces of ham that they stick in the in the oven. So she noticed that she was cutting the top of the ham. So she says, so the couple that I went to have dinner with them says, why do you do that? She says, well, my mother always did it that way, so I did the same thing my mother do. She says, so you don't have any idea why why you're doing that? She said, no, it's my mother. That's how she did it. She says, aren't you curious to find out why your mother did it that way? She says, no, but you know what? I'm going to call my mother. She calls her mother to find out why is it that she did it always that way. And her mother's answer was, well, my pot wasn't big enough for it to fit, so that's why I did it that way. Because so you fit in the pot. See, that's what I mean. That's a story about changes.
Yeah.
Some people are going to do whatever the mother did and the grandmother did and the grandfather did, and because that's how they did it, and they're going to continue to do it that way. But what happens is most of the time they get left behind because they didn't want to do the things that that's happening in the company. Like I've only built 2 businesses in this industry.
Mhm.
My prior company, I was in there for 16 years, and then Mannatech for the last 23 years. But in the other company, we had a major change. We went from just this is like in the 80s now. We went from just having a no technology to a fully online business. And then the day that they opened it, nothing worked. For 2 weeks, we could not get in our system. 2 solid weeks, we could not get in our system. So the way that we used to work before was unless I was at a level of, let's say, gold executive,
Mhm.
I couldn't order directly from the company. So I had to order from you. If you sponsor me, I had to order from you. And if you are not gold executive, you have to order from your person who sponsor you until you get to the gold executive who could actually take all those orders, put it all together, and then they order from the company. So then you have to go pick it up. So you pick up from your sponsor pick up from this sponsor. So it was crazy. But that's how we did it, right?
Yeah.
And then the change came. The company said, hey, guess what? From now on, everybody can order directly from the company. You would think that everybody would be like, woohoo, this is unbelievable. Oh, amazing, right? Some people say, no, 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 wait, hold on. No, 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 we didn't do it that way in 1950 something. So we're not gonna, no, we're not changing.
Yeah.
So, but and again, changes is gonna happen. What happens to you is how you think about those changes. Like right now in the US, we have major changes. We have a whole new back office.
Yep.
There's going to be a whole bunch of stuff coming out at Manifest in terms of how we share the company and the products and the science. I mean, this is good changes. So some people are going to say, well, I got remember that 30 years ago, and this is how I did it, and I'm not changing. Well, good luck to them. That's their prerogative. They can do that if they want to. Hey, it's their business. But I'm one that'll say, hey, I'm not the most technologically advanced person on earth, but if technology is moving ahead, I'm going with it. And so my mindset is always positive for any. I know changes is terrible. People don't like it. I've been using the system for 22 years. Well, 2007 we had to change too.
Yep.
So I remember that. So in 2007 this is what we've been using, and I was like, oh, well, I could be here saying, oh my goodness, I can go back and learn everything and relearn it because I know the reason that we're having these changes is so we can scale our business in the future and move it forward and be able to sponsor people across the board seamlessly.
Yes. It's amazing, I think, because it doesn't matter how big or small the change, it's always about how we react. I was laughing because I remember my very first Zoom call, and we used to use a conferencing system in the office, and I was going, we can't use Zoom. I don't want to switch to Zoom. Why are we switching to Zoom? And I remember entering the call, and there'd been 3 of us on the team on it, thinking we'll never do a call on our own. You need to manage it, and things are moving everywhere. And now I'm on a call with you by myself. I don't need the team to manage it. And it is about mindset, because we do panic. To your point, there'll be people who say, oh no, I've always done it that way. What would you say to somebody who doesn't want to change? And so if you were to give them a piece of advice and say, okay, you don't want to change, you want to stay back in 1954 or wherever, what would you say to them? What would be the one piece of advice as why they shouldn't?
Well, I mean, they're going to miss out on a lot of things, especially, especially in our business. I mean, I would give probably different advice, if we're talking about maybe different, opportunities or something, or industry or something, but particularly in this industry, the biggest thing is duplication.
Yeah.
So if the company is moving forward, you have no choice but to move forward with the company, because then you become non-duplicatable. And the last and worst thing for your business is not being able to be duplicatable. So then if you're not changing, and I'm not saying people are not changing. I'm just saying, if people don't want to change, answering your question. So if the company is changing, and they say some of the people are changing, but you decide, well, I've always done my business this way, I don't want to change. Well, imagine when you come to Manifest, or when you go on a Zoom meeting and everybody's talking about these new changes and the excitement that is happening in with the changes is bringing to the company, and you are sitting there. It's almost like obstructing your organization from moving forward with you. So what's going to happen is, 1, you're going to become non-duplicatable. 2, for the people that you have who are really, really smart, they understand change, they're going to go around you. And then that's going to create a whole level of new problem, because I'm no boss to no one in my organization.
Point. Yep.
We all work voluntarily together as a group, but I'm not their boss. So somebody can always say, hey, fine, you don't want to do it that way, but the company is going that way. I'm going to go find somebody else that are doing it that way. I'm going to go work with them. They're not going to leave your line of sponsorship because you know
Mhm.
that doesn't happen. But
Mhm.
they'll say, hey, I'm going to go work in my other upline who's doing it the way that the company is doing it, and now you are going to have issues because your leadership now has been chopped up little by
Mhm.
little by little by little.
And I think it is a tough leadership question, and I think sometimes change scares us. And in that instance, like, oh, I'm so used to doing it that way. And whether it's how you cut your ham or, how you send messages to people. And I think if for those of you on the call that have been around a long time, we've seen a lot of change. And I think they're always designed with future growth and positivity and um to support you and your business. Doesn't mean you always love it because you really, 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 really liked the way it was the last time. But I think leaders show up, I think. And so sometimes it's a matter of getting it straight in your head because you've got to then share it with your team. And Luciano, I'm a big believer in our industry in particular that methods change, mechanisms change. The idea that you're not ordering through your upline, and they deliver it to you, or we're not ringing up and placing new enrollments over the phone, or we're not filling out forms in triplicate and leaning really hard so it comes through. The one thing that doesn't change is that we're a people business, and how we make people feel matters.
Oh,
There's an industry legend down here, Imelda Roach, and she always says people go where there's excitement, but they stay where they're loved. And I really believe in that, because I think no matter whether you fax in a form or whether you're adding up the cost of it on an abacus or on a chalkboard, or you're doing everything through a link that you sent, it is always about how we make people feel, and the people and the community. And I think that's one of the things Australia's been, we really refound our community again last year after, we'll call it an arduous pandemic. We don't like to refer to it too much because we're beyond that, but it impacts us. And I think what we found is we've got a very strong beating heart in our community because it's about people. Do you agree? What would you add to that? Yeah, no, you think it's not about people, it's all about just you. I'm kidding.
well, most of the time it's about me. No, no, no. See, you're gonna get me in trouble because you're gonna make me say things that I don't answer. Okay?
I'm only kidding. Like I said, what happened on tour
No, no,
show
no.
tour,
I'm just
Luciano, I
joking.
got you.
That's why I love the interview format because it comes
Yeah.
from the heart. Don't
Beautiful.
notice I have no notes. I'm not looking at
Nope.
any notes. Nothing. Look, you are spot on, 100%, because it's all about people. And whenever I'm making a decision that has to do with my organization, I learned long time ago that I need to check myself first to make sure it's not my ego. That's the first thing I do. When people call me, when people in my organization call me and they say, hey, I need to talk to you about something, or Landon calls and say, hey, can you come to Canada, or come to, whenever, the first question is, what do you want me to talk about? What do the people need to hear? Because I'm not going there because of my ego and my big head. I'm going there because just like when I come on the Zoom, 100%. The reason I come is because hopefully I can say something that somebody here can hear and say, "Man, I want that. It's going to help me go platinum." You know, that's my entire reason for being here. Nothing more than, hey, I hope I can say something that can motivate these people, that can help them move the business forward. But to go back to your question about people, look, it's all about people. Uh, we all talk about, we set our own goal. We set goals on a yearly basis. But the way I set my goal is I have a goal, but then my goal goes in the drawer because I go find out the goals of everybody else, and then based on their goals, I make my goals. But my goal is to help those people reach their goals, because if I can help them reach their goals, then my goals is already done. So, and again, guys, this is all mindset stuff, leadership stuff. So if I was going to work with somebody who's brand new in the business, just signed up, I'm going to make them feel like I'm going to do things for them that even their brothers and sisters and family won't do for them. In my prior life, before I got into Mannatech, and before we had Zoom, we used to do a lot of meetings driving all over the place. And I remember one of my guys that I was really working with, and I mean, this is a young couple, hungry, excited about residual income, building a business, retirement, and all that stuff. comes up to me and says, look, I have a couple in Richmond, Virginia. Now look, from Boston to Richmond, Virginia, that's a 13-hour drive. So he says to me, do you think if I set up a meeting, we could go there? Now, I know he didn't mean can we fly there, because, I know what his income, was. So that meant, can we go there driving? I said, absolutely. I said, as a matter of fact, if the meeting is on Saturday, we can go Friday after work. Or if you want to take Friday off, it's up to you. I said, I was working for my family, so like I'm flexible. I can, whatever. But I'm gonna make it where it's more comfortable for you. Whatever you want to do. So we decided, we're gonna drive down Friday night. So we drive down, we get there. The meeting was in the afternoon. So we go, we get ready, we're excited, and go to the people's door. Bam, 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 bam. Nobody home. Nobody home. There was no Zoom back then. Now if somebody says, hey, I have somebody in Richmond, Virginia, hey, let's call them. We do a Zoom. There was no Zoom back then. 13 hours ride one way. My biggest issue was keeping this person positive coming back home.
Yeah.
But guess what? Because we did that together, when we came back home, you should have heard how he was talking to people. Can you believe that this guy, I don't even know him. I just started working with him. He just took 23 hours of his life on the road to help me to have success in my business. Now, I'm not saying that because, I'm this great person. No. Look, that's what it takes to build a business. Mm-hmm. We used to do things. Look, we used to go from Boston to Gatlinburg, Tennessee. That's a 20-something hour drive. Now we could get in a plane and fly. To Gatlinburg is way easier to get on a plane and fly. But we were taught, look, if you're gonna have enough people coming in your organization, when we had a bunch of people coming, but we figured out that we had more people coming if we had buses, because it was cheaper. So we wouldn't put people in the bus and then fly to go to the front. We would all be in the bus. Because look, we didn't give him an excuse to say, hey, I'm not going because I can't fly. You can fly, but I'm not going. Because now I'm saying, hey, I'm going on that bus. You better be coming on that bus if you want me to help you. So it's always about what can you do to put people in position to grow their business. Yeah. So as and I know a lot of you that are here, leaders of your business, and you have had many years in the business. Some of you might be new, but let me talk to you, whether you're new or you're just getting started. Look, if you are going to go out of your way, meet somebody, do the presentation, get them started, then do the right thing. Make sure that you put them in a position to have success in their business. Yeah. And what's the right thing? Well, don't tell them what your goals are. Ask them what their goals are. Because guess what? If their goals are to get to, as an example, a place where they can make a couple of $1,000s a month or a couple of thousand euros or whatever, then you can develop a plan, a working plan to help them get there. Now, once you begin to work with them and you say, hey, I do this. I say, hey, listen, Sinead, if you're serious and you're willing to do these things, I'm going to help you. So I tell them, I say, look, I need for you to be accountable. I need for you to be teachable. I need for you to be reading some of the things I'm going to be suggesting that you read. First one, so I have a list of books that I'm going to be suggesting. I want you to use your products, because if you can't use your products, you can't then go tell anybody that they need to use your product that you don't, if you're not using it. Because when you use your product, you're developing your own story. When you have your own story, that's powerful. So I'll give them a few of those things. And I want to hear, hey, I don't have any problem doing none of those things. Because you see, if they don't have any problem doing any of those things, I don't have any problem getting in my car and driving 10 hours on the way to go show the plan for them either, whether somebody is there or not. We don't have to do that anymore because we can do that on Zoom, but you get the picture.
I do.
So
and I love it.
It's always about them.
I love it. There's a lot to unpick there. And I think one of the things that comes to my mind, if you sit in a car for 13 hours with somebody, you get to know them. And you have that shared experience. So, I'm sure you meet that guy every now and then and you can say to him, remember that time we drove for 13 hours and there was nobody home? It becomes that shared experience that, brings you laughter, brings you joy, brings you that shared memory. But I think there's also an opportunity, because if he's new on your team and you're there for 13 hours, it gives you such an opportunity to kind of get to know him, really find out what his why is, so you can figure out really how you can support this person. Because I think once you know what somebody's why is, it sets you up for success and how you support them, and it sets them up for success in the business. And I fortunately I had 2 in-person meetings with the leader this week, and I know Donna Bryant's on the call. We had a lot of laughs about some shared experiences, and waiting at airports at Manifest and things like that. And it again, it's all about community and how we make people feel. So I'm sure you came away from that 13-hour trip maybe with a little bit of an aching body, a little bit fatigued, but in a better place with your team member, do you think?
Absolutely. And the stories are what everybody remembers.
Yep.
Hey, listen, I remember we go on a bus. This was a convention that we had in Washington, D.C., which is about 7-8 hours from here.
Mhm.
And then on the way back home, we had a snowstorm. It took us 24 hours to get back home. But
Wow.
the stories in the bus, we still talk about it today, and it's like
Yeah.
30 some odd years ago.
Yeah.
So the relationship that you build doing those things together with those people, it's amazing, and that's what actually attracts and create the community and create the group. But then
Mhm.
you create a camaraderie
Yep.
that you don't create if you just fly in, and you're not spending time with the people. But
Yes.
again, it's all about the people. You want to separate yourself
Mhm.
from anybody else that they know when it comes to the theme of helping people.
Yeah.
Because I tell people all the time, I say, look, if you're a leader, and I'm talking about at presidential level and above, and if you're in my organization, I probably will not call you. Meaning, I'm not going to call you to say, hey, how can I help you? You're a
Mhm.
leader, but you got my phone number, you got my email address, you have my WhatsApp, you have my everything that you need to know. So, because I don't want people to think that I'm trying to take their leadership away.
Yes.
Problem? Here's let me give you guys another hint who's listening. So we talk about we're in the business of building leaders, right?
Mhm.
Well, what's the next step when you build leaders? Let them lead,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Sometimes, I have in my own group, they build leaders, but then they try to put the brakes on the leaders because now they're getting jealous because the leaders are really getting bigger and bigger and maybe outshining them. No, guys. People say to me all the time, they say, oh, but Leon and Louis, they are in your organization. They are 2-star platinum. Don't you, what does that do for you? I said, I'm looking for 3 more so they can go 2-star platinum so I don't have to do nothing for the rest of my life. That's what I'm thinking about. Yeah.
Okay.
So when you find somebody in your organization that said, look, Nate, look, just tell me about Mannatech. Teach me the culture, the products, the science. But look, I've been around for a while. I know how to do this thing. Get out of my way. Let me go do it. But I just need for you to teach me the. Get out of their way and let them go do it. Don't worry about the other stuff. And then go find 4 more. You'll be set for life.
I love that, because quite often we find it's the opposite, in the sense that we find people that need you to hold their hand every step of the way.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll whine and go, oh my gosh, if I don't do it, it doesn't happen. But I love that when they want to lead and they're ready to lead and they can do it, let them do it. Because to me, if you do that, if they fall, if they have a problem, they're going to come to you anyway.
Exactly. Well, the way I learned, I'll tell you how I learned.
Mm.
So I was very afraid to speak in public.
I loved
I
it.
mean,
I've heard the story. I was hoping you were going to tell it. I remember this.
terrified to speak
Yeah.
in public, okay? So my upline says to me one day, he says, hey, listen, next week, because for the first 3 months, he came to my house once a week, every Monday night, and did a meeting for me. Because I told him, I said, look, I can tell people to come to my house, but I am not showing the plane. I said, so he said, no. He said, I'm going to do 95% of the work for you. He says, I'm going to prove to you that this stuff works. I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, man, 95%? I take that deal. So I said to him, I said, so what's the 5%? He says, well, the 5% is you need to go home and put everybody that you know on the list. Make a list of everybody that you know. Don't judge anyone. Just everybody that you know, just put them on the list. And then we're going to call them. Okay, I can do that. He says, and every Monday for the next 3 months, I'm coming to your house. And the only thing you need to do is I'm going to show you, I'm going to teach you. Just call them and say, hey, I'm doing something in my house. I have a business partner coming. But, he's giving me a few words, and I did that. Sometimes he'd come. I'd have one person. Sometimes you come, I had 10. Sometimes you come, I had 5. Sometimes, so every week was different. So this week he says to me, man, I got something I'm gonna do. Everybody that comes is gonna get in this week. He says, so you go out and invite as many people as you can. So I did. I invited a lot of people. And I think I had maybe 20 people in the house, maybe 15 to 20 people showed up. All young. I mean, I was in my 20s and they're all in their 20s. So then he called me like 10 minutes before the start of the meeting. He said, man, I have a problem. He says, my car is broken. I can't come to your house today. He says, so you have to do the meeting. I'm like, I know. I'm like, my knees are buckling. I'm sweating. I'm like, no, 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 no. So just before the time for the meeting to start, somebody knocked on my door, and it was a cross-line guy that had been in the business for way longer than I had. So I opened the door. He says, who's doing the business presentation today? I said, you are. I give him the marker. I said, you're doing it. So then, about 20 minutes later, somebody else knocks on my door. So I open the door, and my upline is stunned because I'm not talking. He's stunned because he looks at me, he goes, who's talking? I said, not me. But see, that's how they got us to stand up in front of people before and speak to people, because they know if you do it once, you might be knee buckling, scared. But if you did it once, they know that you can do it again. It's the same thing. If you're working with people and they don't want to do it and they're afraid and all, and they don't know where to find things, and then I have a rule. If I'm working with you and you're new, I'm going to show you everything. I'm going to tell you everything, show you everything, and then I'm going to show you where you find all those things. But if you've been in the business for a while and you're going to call me to go send you a link of something that's in the library because you're lazy and you don't want to go look at it, I won't send it to you. I'm going to tell you, look, let's get on a Zoom so I can show you how to find it, because you're a leader. You shouldn't be calling me for stuff like this. I said, you need to be calling me about stuff, leadership stuff, relationship stuff, financial stuff, those kind of. I said, don't be calling me to go find the link for you when you know where the link is and you're just lazy and you don't go find it. So you need to be, to make sure that they understand that this is a business, lovingly, or maybe sometimes not so lovingly, but it's a business, and that's how you build your business.
So I know the answer to this, but for those watching this morning who don't, who was that upline that tried to throw you under the bus?
$1.
But it backfired. I think that's the classic part. It actually backfired. Oh, you saw an opportunity and you took it. You must have had I know public speaking's hard for a lot of people, and the first time's always the worst. You must have been so relieved when that guy showed up.
I was like, thank you, God. When I got recognized first time on stage, I was so scared that I actually forgot my last name.
Wow.
And I'm not even exaggerating.
I'm Luciano. Oh, see, well, look, there's so many celebrities out there that are just one names. Do you know what I mean? So,
but I wasn't going for that. That wasn't my problem. I just forgot. Okay.
Let's pretend you were. Luciano, let's shift gears. Quick question. Who inspires you?
Inspires me? My mom was a big inspiration for me. She had 12 of us, and then she had a bunch that was not hers. And she took care of all of us and set an example that was unbelievable. Treated everybody nice, no matter where they came from, whether you had or didn't. Then sometimes she even made us pay for it because she didn't want us to think that we were better than anybody else. So she was instrumental in my life. Obviously, later on, I met a lot of other people in my life, a lot of mentors that I looked up to, like Al, for instance. And we've been together. Al and I, when I say we've been together, like, what do you mean you've been together? I said, separate but together for 37 years,
Yeah.
And he's been a big inspiration for me, and and other people in my life, So.
I love it. Gosh, your mom, 12 kids. That's a lot, Luciano. I bow down to that because That's a whole career all by itself without anything
And
else.
some of us are crazy. I'm not the only crazy one, you know.
Well, they always say there's a weirdo in every family, and if you don't know who it is, it's probably you.
It's probably you, yeah.
And you mentioned earlier, I heard you say that you talk to people about what they should be reading, and you have a list of books. Go-to book? Have you a go-to book for anybody?
Uh,
Others like some books are hard. Let's be clear. Sometimes you read a book and you say, "Oh my God, my brain's on fire." If you were to give somebody one book that you think will make a difference to them.
The Magic of Thinking Big, my favorite book. Now, I mean, obviously, there's Think and Grow Rich, which is
Mm-hmm.
one of those books that it was like, wow, you know, I wish I had gotten this from kindergarten, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But my book's always been The Magic of Thinking Big. I remember when I was afraid to go out and prospect people because I didn't want to talk to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I would go out and I would come across good people. I mean, you don't know who's gonna do something or not, you know. But you look at them and say, wow, they have all the potential. But then I just walk by them or I wouldn't say anything. They would say something to me sometimes and I wouldn't say, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
then I would come home and I take The Magic of Thinking Big and I read it. And then I would get inspired and motivated and I go back out there.
Yeah.
And same thing happened. I'd come back and read The Magic of Thinking and go back out again. You know? So to
Wow.
this day, it's one of my favorite books. But for those people that also have issues with changes,
Mm-hmm.
Who Moved My Cheese is another book that I always, you know, I don't have a problem with changes, but if you do have, then that's a great book, Who Moved My Cheese, because that's a book that really puts it into perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Changes. That's
Yeah.
another.
Can someone write the book? My speak. Okay, we will. I will. Somebody's not hearing it. I was going, can somebody write a book? I'm going, not in this time frame.
I speak fast. I have an accent, and
There's
the
hello.
more excited I get, the faster I go.
I say, Luciano, that's a them problem, not a me problem. If I'm going too fast, you just need to adjust your brain to catch up quicker.
To go
That's all
faster,
I
yeah.
ask. I'll type the name of the book in the chat, everybody. Um, it's interesting that you chose the magic of thinking big. Sorry, my typing's appalling. Apologies.
It's
Um,
good.
I think sometimes that's something we need to do. Just think a little bigger, dream a little bigger. You know, we are a huge world. I think, you know, we had Ray Robbins on our first call like this recently, and for me, this was a change for us in how we were doing things, and I wanted to go back to the beginning, so I asked Ray to be the first call. And if you think he is the first associate, that it started with one, and look at us now, and we're going to go to Manifest, and we're going to meet South Africans and Europeans and Koreans and Japanese and all these people from around the world. And I think it really focuses in on, you know, what's possible. One person can make a difference. That one person can be you. If you think it can't be, it absolutely can be. So I think the magic of thinking big, sometimes we have our little blinkers on and we can just see the next level, which is great. And it's really good to get you there. But what's beyond and what can you do? And, you know, I like what you say about I put my goals in a drawer and I find out what my leaders or my team's goals are, because that's bigger. Your
Mm-hmm.
goals are just here. Their goals elevates. And what's the saying? Everybody, all ships rise. Um, and I think that's kind of where it's at for me. That is the magic a little bit, because when you think bigger, it's not just you, it is about everybody else around you. And the other thing I've seen is that when a team starts firing and starts growing and is getting excited, it impacts the other teams.
Right.
Because we talk about cross line, but it does. When you think, oh, you
It
because you
does.
get inspiration from that.
Look, and I think you hit some good key things there,
Mm-hmm.
for sure. But uh, let me one of my rules when I was this is even when I learned very early in the business that you cheer for everybody whether they are in your group or not.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, sometimes you hear people cheering, but they're cheering just for their group,
Mm-hmm.
or just for their upline. No, no, look, we're a family,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And if you are in Australia and you're having success, or you are in New Zealand and you're having success, I'm gonna point to you when I talk to my organization and say, look at those guys, they're making it happen. So that means it's working for them. Make it work for you too. So yeah. Uh, it's a community that gets excited about the growth of everybody.
I love it.
One of my rules, and to this day I live by that rule, I don't care if I'm at a manifest or if I'm at a business presentation or if I'm at a training, if I'm in the room, I want to make sure that I'm the most positive person in that room. I have a smile on my, I don't care what happened to me before I get into that room, you know? But once I'm in that room and I know that people are looking and I'm a leader in the business, and this is before I was even a leader in the business, I was scared and I was doing it, you know? Because you never know how your attitude is going to affect people. And if they come to a meeting, you play a big part in that meeting when you come to that meeting. And especially if you're already in the Mannatech family. You know, I'll tell you a quick story. I know, we're getting closer to the time here, but I want to be mindful of the people. But look, I used to go to a meeting, business presentation. We had it every Tuesday night, forever. For 10 years, I used to be at the Holiday Inn, North Attleboro, Tuesday night meeting. But I welcomed everybody, whether you're in my group or not in my group, especially if you're new and I've never seen you around there, I will go to you and shake your hand and say, hey, welcome. So I did that, and people felt, hey, thank you. I remember, then they'll come back later, on in the business. Hey, I remember the first time I came, you were so nice to us and things like that. But the story is, this guy was in the military, him and his wife, and they were from North Carolina and they were living in Boston then. And they would come to the meeting, they didn't have any groups, but I was always nice to them and say, hey, come on in, Years later, maybe like 8 years later, he called me and said, listen, I don't know if you remember us, but we're such and such. We used to be in the business and we used to live in Boston. We moved to Hawaii. We kind of stepped away. But we always remember you, and we're about to come back in the business. And since we haven't done anything the last 5 years, we wanted to see if you still work in the business because we want to be in your group. So I'm not saying that, guys. Again, I'm not saying that because I want to pat in the back or anything like that. I'm just saying to you that when you do those kind of things, it comes back to you in a good, positive way. So it's always about people and how you make them feel is going back to what you asked and talking about earlier.
I think it's what you're enhancing is, we talk about leaders show up, they're on the calls, they're at the meetings, they go to every event possible, they're working the incentives. It's not about showing up, it's about how you show up.
Yeah. And if you're a leader, no excuses.
Mm-hmm.
If you have an incentive, look, if you're a leader, you need to be leading from the front, not from the back.
Yep.
And incentives, look, those are free stuff that you're gonna get anyways for building your business. If they're giving you money, that's free money. You're gonna build your business anyways. If they're giving you a trip, it's free trip. You're gonna build your business anyways. But all the things that happens in terms of events and incentives and education and seminars and Zooms, that's like your university.
Mm-hmm.
That it's like, look, when I went to school and I was studying business and it cost a lot of money to go to the university. You didn't skip class because you felt like skipping class and you didn't go to class for the whole semester and then you graduated. No, you went. Our business is a real business. Those things are important. First of all, for you to learn. Second of all, for you to set the right example for the people not only in your organization but for the whole community. So yeah, it's super important. No doubt about it.
And if you're sitting here listening and thinking, oh, am I a leader? What can I do? Here's a little change I'll make. I'm going to suggest to everybody watching this morning. So we have the Mannatech Australasia business Facebook community group. You can do it in there. We do recognition, and I see the people who cheer everybody. You see it. It's here. I urge you to. I always say, don't just like. A like does nothing. Give us a love heart. Give it the laughing emoji or the huggy emoji or whatever. Write a comment. Start in there.
Let people know you are alive.
Yes, absolutely. Start in there, because if you're congratulating somebody that doesn't know you, and especially if they're a new person or they just achieved something, you have an impact on that person. So we can start in that small way. If you're kind of unsure where to start, I would say start there and build from it, because sometimes we're a little bit afraid. Luciano, I am conscious of time, and I'm conscious of your time because I can see it's getting a little darker where you are, and in crazy Boston as opposed to muggy Sydney. And I do want to thank you. I'm just going to give a reminder to everybody. Our next call is our Tuesday Business Booster next Tuesday. It is Bronze Presidential Karen Dennis, myself and Andrew talking all things about our Elevate incentive and things that you can be doing to ensure that you earn your spot there. And we might have a little bit of an exciting thing to share on the night, but you won't know unless you're there. So, do with that what you will. Luciano, it's been the pleasure I knew it would be. I've had the joy of traveling with you. I've forgiven you for Adelaide, where he runs out before we started with a box and said, "Do you need to stand that to be seen behind the lectern?" I've let you can tell all these years later. I let that go.
I'm sorry.
I won't tell him about the mishaps.
I am publicly apologizing today.
But it was, I love these trips because I love the interaction. I love getting to travel with people who inspire me, who help me learn and grow, and I think it's incredible. I'm going to ask you closing words. Anything you would say to somebody sitting here right now going, I'm in my business. I want it to grow. I love the products. I love the company. What's your one takeaway for everybody?
Well, look, if you are in your business and you love the products and you want to have a lifestyle that's second to none, then look, put yourself in position to grow your business. I don't know if you are mentoring with somebody in your upline. I don't know if you are reading on a regular basis, but there are things that you can do to help you speed up. Okay. Well, I'm going to say this to you. If you don't like where you are right now, you need to change something. And it's you that you need to change. Because if you don't like where you are right now and you change nothing, nothing will change. When I remember a few years back, I got stuck at bronze presidential for a very long time. And then I made a decision. I said, look, if I'm going to move from where I'm at to the next level in the business, I need to change the mindset. I need to change my attitude. It's not going to be my upline who's going to change. It's not going to be my downline, my cross line. No, it's me that had to take the responsibility to change it. So I decided I was going to read 3 books. Magic of Thinking Big, Think and Grow Rich. And then I found a book that I had never heard of, but I was at the airport. I saw the title. I was like, perfect. Battlefield of the Mind. And I got those 3 books. It was October, November, December. I wanted to set myself up mentally that when January hit, my attitude was new, my mindset was new. But you don't have to wait until January. You can say, hey, we are in March. I'm going to start now in the next 90 days and just change because your business is all about your attitude and your mindset. 90+% of your business is not about glycans and science and all that. It's about your attitude. It's about your mindset. It's about how you view everything that happens to you. That's my parting words to you. I love you guys. I'm always excited about sharing with you. You get Australia and New Zealand. I know I believe in what you guys are doing, because if I didn't believe it, I wouldn't come here. I would have given some kind of excuse. I know that it's I know Mannatech is worth it. I know that nobody can touch us when it comes to products and science, and just do it for yourself, do it for your family, and you can. And I believe in you.
Absolutely love it. Absolutely.